Welcome, everybody. Joe Quills here with you. It is Saturday once again, another edition of Also Eligible. And had a little brain cramp this morning. I'm sitting here and I'm letting the music play as I'm getting everything started here on this Saturday morning, this fourth day. Wait, what month is it? What day of the month is it? What's that event in Indianapolis today? The final. What's that women's event that they had last night? The women's final. It's a crazy 4-day here in fourth day, fourth month, 26th year, whatever. We couldn't get the force totally complete, but you get the idea. Well, 2 + 6 is 8. 8 divided by 2 is. There you go. So, anyways, hope everybody's doing well out there. Another edition of Also Eligible. And maybe the caffeine I just inhaled before I started the show, or it just may be that I'm normal, or it may just be I'm tired out of my mind right now and had to be up extra early today because I had to go around the corner to the dentist. But we're here, and everything's good, and hopefully we can get you guys some winners here as we kind of close out the road to the Kentucky Derby and the Kentucky Oaks. We're definitely closing the Oaks out today, the road to the Oaks, and that's with the Gazelle at Aqueduct and the Santa Anita Oaks at Santa Anita. Those two races will be the final two races on the road to Louisville on the first Friday in May. Then today we have the Wood Memorial. That is at Aqueduct. We have the Bluegrass at Keeneland. And we have the Santa Anita Derby. So going to be looking at 5 races today. And hopefully we can get you guys some winners here. Been a little cold this month so far. But, hey, sometimes it's not how you start. It's how you finish. And with the way I do my stats, and I think that's something I'm probably going to do this afternoon before the big races start today, especially these races I'm going to feature. I think I'm going to update all my stats because I got January done. The thing is with me, I'm not the type of person that's going to be sitting there with the spreadsheet that I have ready to go as soon as the race goes official. I'm always doing like 18 different things. So, or it seems like I'm doing 18 different things. So, it does end up that, it does fall behind, but I can catch up on those stats fairly quickly. It's a little bit of a pain when you have a situation like we did the other day where a horse scratched. And it's like, oh, take this horse instead. So it's like, what did I take again? And then I got to go searching for it. But we're all good. We're ready to go here on this Saturday. And we'll get you guys a look at these 5 races and hopefully get you guys some winners. Now, I did say it's the final races for the Oaks. We do have one race next week, which is a last chance race, but more times than not, those horses don't necessarily run in the Kentucky Derby because, everything now is about, resting and making sure you get that rest before, maximizing performance and all that. So, it is, also the purses are so much higher now. So, you get a lot of, you look for optimal performance and you pick and choose your spots as opposed to years ago where, you're basically running every 2 weeks. So, but we're going to get to those races here. So next week, we'll definitely be looking at Keeneland. We're going to look at the Lexington Stakes, which is a last chance race, but it may be more of a prep for the Preakness, which is this year at Laurel Park. So we'll get to that next week, but we're going to get to those 5 races here today. Just a reminder, you can hit that FanDuel promo there, and you'll check out the promos that we have, and we'll get you. Even though that is for the sports book, you can actually go from sports book to race book to casino in one order or the other. So just to let you know as well. Also, this is an historic day in New York today because this is the final Gazette or Gazelle, not the Gazette, the final Gazelle and Wood Memorial at Aqueduct, because Aqueduct is shutting down. They're closing up at the end of June. So the renovations are nearing completion at Belmont, at least that they can run the races in September. So keep that in mind here, because it is going to be a little weird when November comes around, when you're seeing that there's races at Belmont, when there's, when you're thinking, oh man, they got to go back to Aqueduct. Not anymore. Aqueduct's closing up, and everything is going to the new Belmont Park in September. Opening day, I think, is my birthday, September 18th, if I'm not mistaken. So, we'll worry about Belmont in September, but we'll get to these 5 races here today. So, just a reminder as well, with these races here, also want to remind you, FanDuel does have the promotion for the money back special, and today on FanDuel, Aqueduct Race 11, which is the Gazelle, that's going to be a money back special, up to $10 back if your horse finishes second or third. There's 9 in the race. Let me just check one thing here. Oops, no, wrong one. There is 9 in that race, no scratches yet. We do have 1 scratch in the Wood, but that's because he's running at Keeneland. So, so race 11 at Aqueduct, that's your race of the day here. And Santa Anita, they got big races, but won't be the races that we cover today. So, also, you have the Road to the Derby. And the 3 big races we're looking at, the Wood Memorial, the Bluegrass, and the Santa Anita, up to $20 back as a racing bonus. So check that out as well. And if you use a different, if you do use a different provider, check out their promotions as well, because even though we promote FanDuel here, I will be the type of person that will acknowledge, yeah, there are other ways you can wager. And not only can you wager on them, check out the promotions, because the one thing I will tell you is our motto here at Also Eligible is, if it's free, it's for me. So, if you get that free program, you register for free on the daily racing form. And Luch is here. Welcome in. And thankfully, Luch, I figured out why I was only streaming to 4 sites this morning, because I'm looking at my icons up the top of the page, and you know all about it, being a host of Luch on Ice, which is on the Bleacher Brothers channels everywhere we are. I wasn't streaming to Facebook this morning. I don't know what happened, but we are here. We're only a month away from Monmouth Park. I believe they open on the 11th or 12th or whatever that Saturday is. I'm going to check that here for you, because I'm just a rambling man here. Saturday the 9th is when they open up. And they race mostly Saturdays and Sundays. They do run on Fridays starting June 26th, and they run to the 13th. And then they run at the Meadowlands, an all-turf meet, starting on the 18th, my birthday. But yeah, so, and then they have the one day at Far Hills, New Jersey, which is the steeplechase track up in extreme North Jersey. So, but yeah, the weather is breaking, and the weather this time of year could be hit and miss. It could be rain, could be snow, but you need a lot to go right if you're a snow fan to have snow in April, especially in these parts. But weather's great. I have my shorts on. If maybe Schoolyard Superman had been put into the Wood Memorial, I would have been up there today. But you know, but he did run last week. He ran on Sunday and he barely lost. But from what AJ told me, he ran a 99 buyer, which is very high for the 3-year-olds and could fit right in. But also remember, he may or may not get the 10 furlongs, but he did run a good race. I mean, AJ didn't tell me where his next race is. I wouldn't be surprised if it's maybe the Peter Pan going 9 furlongs, which is a prep for the Belmont. So don't be surprised we see something like that coming up next month. But we are getting closer to the day for the Derby. And we are going to look at these 5 races here. We're going to begin with the 2 races at Aqueduct. Now, the way I like to do these races when I present them to you, I like to go in sequential order that they're going to be run. But I'm not going to do that today because we'll be going to, if that was the case, then we would be going Santa Anita, Aqueduct to Santa Anita or actually, I have the list order here. No, that's not it. You can tell I'm in mid-season form here today. I think it's the Oaks at Santa Anita, then the Gazelle, then the Bluegrass, then the Wood, and then the Santa Anita Derby, which is like at 7:30. But it is what it is. But we'll make it easier for you when we look at these races because we're going to look at the 2 races at Aqueduct. We're going to look at the Gazelle, which is a grade 3 race going 1 1/8. Keep that in mind because this race may help those that get into the Oaks because the Oaks is 1 1/8 race. And, next year when they move this race to Belmont, I'm imagining this will be 1 1/16 race. But that's just me because got to remember, Aqueduct doesn't have the ability to run at 1 1/16. Well, they could if they really wanted to, but they don't have that second wire that Keeneland has, that Gulfstream has, or that Oaklawn has, where you have a first wire, which is for Gulfstream, and Keeneland is a 1 1/16 race, and they also use it for mile races at Keeneland because it's a 1 1/16 round. Oaklawn uses it for mile races because their mile circumference track, that first turn comes up too quickly. So you do have that, but Aqueduct never did that. So so they never had a 1 1/16 race on the main track. But, why put it in for 2 months now when it's over? But with next year, I would imagine some of these distances of these New York races are going to change because of the fact that you do have some races here that are 1 1/8, which really shouldn't be 1 1/8 in my opinion. But that's something we're going to probably see next year. We'll see when next year's schedule comes up for the road to Kentucky Derby 2027. We'll take a look at Keeneland as well. They have 2 scratches, but they're scratches because they're scratches that were announced well ahead of time. There's nothing right now that's going to surprise us. And probably won't have any scratches in for Santa Anita because they don't start till 3 o'clock. The Santa Anita Oaks is until 5:42. So what we'll do is we'll begin our look at these races here. And there is one horse I do want to show you video of when we get to that point here. So just to let you guys know, and hopefully we'll get that ready for you here. And you know, Luch, you know, Aqueduct's not far away, so if you want to go up there for me, no, I'm not kidding. But we're going to get to the races here. Let me share my screen here. Wrong one. There we go. So let me share this tab instead. So we're going to begin with Aqueduct here, and they got 12 races on the card. They have the Excelsior going a mile and a quarter here in race 3. It's a 7-horse race, 6 horses running. I could, you know, they got a favorite here, so a couple of reasons why they put that early. You got the Carter, which I just found out today. Actually, I just shared it on my Facebook if you're friends with me. In 1944, the Carter Handicap, they had a triple dead heat for the win. It's the only triple dead heat in a major stakes race in the United States. And Naira mentioned it today because it is the final Carter at Aqueduct. So you know, that's worth mentioning here today. But you know, then they have the Distaff going 7 furlongs. So if you're interested in that race, but we're focusing on the Derby and the Oaks here today, and we're going to begin with the Derby and Oak prep races, I should say. So we're going to begin with the Gazelle. They're going a mile and an eighth here. I imagine next year this probably goes to a mile and a 16th, but that's just me. But then again, New York is New York. They do things their own way for the most part. But so we'll begin here. And okay, this is a race I'm going to show you the video for. So we'll get to that in a second here. So favorite here is Paradise. I'm sorry. Yeah, Paradise is favorite 5-2. And she won the Busher. Got points towards the Oaks here, so she's still going to need points to get in. Or she may be in. I don't have the totals in the standings, so forgive me for that. Has shown that she can run from the back of the pack like she did at Churchill Downs in her debut. Won that maiden race at Gulfstream. Did win the Busher there, stalked the pace there. Had a little problem brushing the gate there, but she did edge clear and win that race here. So she's definitely a horse that should be able to handle the step up in class here. But there is a horse that I'm looking at here that could be dangerous here today. Now, one horse I think has no shot, which probably means wins by 15 lengths, is Always a Runner. Now, does have the pedigree to go along with Gun Runner there. But and now if you think buyers are the thing, you might get scared off of this because this came up very light, and they comment that here. So you know, and obviously the Naira people, whoever does the lines up there, thought that this was a little low as well, making her 4-1. And by the way, when we talk about pronouns, this is the only time that I worry about pronouns is when we have filly and mare races versus the boys running. So, but you know, wasn't far behind, took over there. May not have faced much in that race, but you know, we'll see if she's for real, or we'll see if that 59 buyer is something that really was warranted or not. So, so that's the 2 Always a Runner. The 3 Nikon, If you have a comment in your program that she was cross entered at Keeneland, she was scratched yesterday at Keeneland, so she's running here today. She would have been 20-1 morning line at Keeneland yesterday. She's 6-1 morning line here. Did have a belated rally there. Also brushed the gate as well. So, got a little too close to the stanchion when the race started. But it does have the ability to close here. And if they go a little too fast here, she could get a piece of this she should get a piece of this at the very least. Could possibly steal this, but some of these numbers do seem a bit, I mean, I don't know if she's plateauing or, but she does have Nyquist, who is a Kentucky Derby winner, also Uncle Mo. So there's pedigree in this filly as well. Pedigree to go long here. So 2 bits. One, the Ruthless Stakes. I can hear Mike Tyson saying ruthless, but she comes in here. She stalked the pace in the Ruthless and won. She's going to have to go another 2 furlongs here. Now, she's going to go 2 turns for the second time. She's going to go 1 1/8 miles for the first time. Now, the one thing I will tell you is if you're a person that wants to say, oh, 2 turns, 2 turns, 2 turns, the Aqueduct races are 1-turn miles. The Delaware Park race there in October, that's a 2-turn mile. That's a 1 mile track. So, I'm willing to toss that race and give her another chance going 2 turns here. So don't be surprised if you see this horse running well here, because she's got American Pharoah on top, the Triple Crown champion. And you got Bernardini on the sire of the dam there. So you really got breeding for distance there as well. So lots to like there. Now the horse I do want to show you is Pashmina, and I'm going to show you this video, and hopefully I can do this without having to play around with this too much. By the way, there is one scratch here. Hot Gossip is scratched. I think that came in while we were since I first pulled this up at like 9:59, because I was running a little late this morning. There you go. Hot Gossip is scratched. So I do want to show this race here because the one thing I do want to tell you is Bottle of Rouge came back and won the next time out. That's why that's in italics. Bottle of Rouge won the Virginia Derby next time out. I just think, and I said this and, got some great engagement. So, if I ever make a comment on X that kind of makes sense, but you may be for or against it, we can have a fun conversation about this at Joe Quills on X, because I had some great conversation about this race here, because I had Bottle of Rouge that day. And even with me putting my money on Bottle of Rouge, I told everybody on X, Bottle of Rouge should have been disqualified. Now, let me find this here, and I'm going to turn the volume for this race because the guy at Sunland Park annoys me. And sometimes these race announcers do annoy you. I know everybody gives Jessica Paquette crap for running at parks. I just think it's because she's a woman. Me, I'm the type of person where it's like, hey, if you've shown that you can do the job, care less what you do, but no, it's not. Okay, so let me go back over here. So we're having a little bit of a technical difficulty here, but that's okay. We'll go back here. And this is the joys of these are the joys of being a one-man show here. And it is what it is, no big deal. So let's try this. See if
the pink silks. They're all set.
no, it's not letting.
And they're off and running in the Sunland Park.
All right. Plain C. And today's race. Because I really want to show you this, because I want to show you what I saw. And, you know, every once in a while when I see something, you know, it may be that, you know, I'm going to be wrong more than I'm right. But, you know. Let's try this one. Hey, we did it. We did it. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push ahead here a little bit. Pashmina finishes third. She's a 7-horse here. So there's no, you know, Bottle Rouge takes over the lead at this point. Cashed is second. Pashmina is third. Watch Bottle Rouge here. Watch Pashmina here as they're in the stretch here. I'm going to turn the volume down because this track announcer is annoying. I mean, he sounds like he has the winner in every race. And I don't think that's – I think the way he announces is not professional, but that's a topic for another day. But we'll watch the stretch run here.
Fight back a bit. That is Pashmina. Here
So
comes
Pashmina's on the outside here. Bottle of Rouge
on the far side down, making a big move. Alongside hers, Touch of Magic. Can Bottle of Rouge hang on? Bottle of Rouge
around
may
there.
be in trouble. Coming on fast now is going to be Pashmina and Touch of Magic. Touch of Magic closing in. Bottle of Rouge digging in. Too much class. Bottle of Rouge up to the task. Fended them all off. Took many challenges.
We're going to go back to this.
Rouge now begins to take control. Leads by about a head.
Watch the four, Bottle of Rouge.
In third, trying to fight back a bit. That is Pashmina. Here comes Coffee
Pashmina
Connection. Re-energized on the far side down, making a big move. Alongside hers, Touch of Magic. Can Bottle of Rouge hang on? Bottle of Rouge may be in trouble. Coming on fast
now usually
going to be Pashmina.
You lose a
Magic. Touch of Magic closing in.
That
Bottle
horse,
of Rouge digging in. Too much class. Bottle
that
of Rouge
horse
up to the
should be
task.
disqualified.
Fended them all off.
Now I'm going to move ahead here.
Tape replays both.
The bottom right here is probably the best one here.
As the horses came into the stretch,
and you see here
about at the 8th pull for a possible infraction. Please hold all tickets.
There's obvious interference there, but they didn't call it. So say what you will. I mean, it was a Baffert horse. They didn't do anything with that horse. So, but keep that in mind because I think that was even more significant than what you are seeing here, what you see in the program, steadied at the 8th and out kicked. She did lose a placing there. Bottle of Rouge should have been disqualified, in my opinion. And this is a person that had Bottle of Rouge that day. So she ran a big race there. Went from the fairgrounds to Sunland. It was just that Bottle Rouge was just better that day. And I don't know if it's because it was a Baffert horse and they're afraid to knock him down, but that warranted a disqualification in my opinion. But that horse is moving up nicely. The buyer speed figures have been improving little by little each race, with every race on the main track there. And I think that she will definitely get the distance. Constitution, Tappet, Super Saver won a Derby. You know, you got here a couple horses that really will get the distance. But I think Pashmina, as long as she doesn't get into any traffic trouble here, she should be able to win this race here. I'm hoping to get 7-2 here. But I'm going to go 6-1, 3-4. I'm going to go Pashmina over Paradise in the final Gazelle at Aqueduct Racetrack. And then we go to the main event in New York, the Wood Memorial. They're going a 1.125 as well. And if this chart is accurate, you can see there's not much in the first turn. And also keep that in mind because we have a field of 13 entered. We're down to 12. Atinho is scratched. He's running at Keeneland today, so obviously they haven't figured out a way to have horses run at 2 tracks at once. But we do have a field of 13, down to 12 here. The favorite has the misfortune of being on the far outside, and that is Iron Honor. But it is 2 for 2. One in December going 6 furlongs there. Did stalk the pace there. Or was a couple lengths behind the leader early on and just dueled a little bit in the stretch and drew off late to win that race. Came back at the end of February into Gotham going a mile. Did run well and win that race as well. So was bumped around a little bit in the stretch, but inch clear in that race. Obviously has the breeding as well to go this far, but got the short straw in this draw and has to go from the outside. Now, if Iron Honor can get towards the rail, I'm going to say toward because I don't think this horse will get completely to the rail. But as long as he's not too far behind, because he's going to go. As long as he's not too far behind, I can see this horse potentially on the lead here. Now, if he gets hung wide, which is very possible, because I'm sure there's going to be a big crowd in New York today, and also it's the last Wood Memorial. We're getting into that time of the year where the time of Aqueduct where everything is the last race of this, the last race of that, the last this, the last that at Aqueduct. I'm sure there's going to be a little bit more people than you would think at Aqueduct here today, but going to be near the pace here, if not the pace here. But I wouldn't rule him out, but I'm also worried about that post position as well. Since we might as well go from the bottom up here since the favorite's on the far outside here. Next to him is the 11 Butane, and Bob Baffert's going to try to get a horse here in the Derby here. I will tell you right now. Well, first of all, he's the beaten favorite in the race, as you can see there on the closer look comments. I'm not going to lie. And I talked to Jason Beam last September. And now he wasn't there last month at Colonial because he had duties at Tampa Bay Downs. They've tried to slow down that track at Colonial Downs, but it's still very fast. I don't think this was that fast of a race, but I never know what to make of some of these races on the dirt at Colonial Downs. So, but he did angle in a little bit, did have some traffic trouble there. So maybe worth a play here. And also because it's Baffert, he may be bet down a little bit as well. But I mean, but he goes from a 1-turn mile and an eighth, one of only 2 tracks that have that, the other being Belmont, which will be back in September. But he has run going 2 turns in the Southwest there, did kind of get out kicked for second there. So, and Silent Tactic drew off to win that race here. So, so you might want to rewatch that race here, but maybe worth a play here as well. So, that may be a long shot play here. So, kind of, you know, I'm the type of guy who's going to root for my local horse or whatever. Red zone runner, big long shot, but you know, it is what it is. So definitely not going to play it. But Brevaro the 9 had all kinds of trouble at the start of the race. Was bumped around a little bit, had to steady in the Fountain of Youth. I think you can give a pass here, but also that race was strong because you had Commandment in the race who won the Florida Derby barely over the Puma, who I gave out last week. And probably the Puma may be my Derby horse. We'll give that a couple of weeks. Chief Wallaby, who finished second in this race, finished third in the Florida Derby. So you do have a couple of strong horses that he faced there, and might have been a little bit closer at the end if it wasn't for the problems they had early on. So he looks like, now I said that 12 may be the long shot play at 8-1. I really like Brevaro here. I think he can sit right behind the leaders, get first run at them when they're turning for home or on the turn. Don't be surprised if you see that, because that Fountain of Youth was a strong race this year, because you had Chief Wallaby and Commandment who put on a show in the stretch with the Puma in the Florida Derby. So keep that in mind as well. Also the 1, Napoleon Solo, had an awkward start, was empty there. I'm guessing he didn't get the lead because of the awkward start there. And he's probably the fastest of the fast here. And I think he may be dueling with Iron Honor early on, may even be dueling with Talk to Me Jimmy. Talk to Me Jimmy won the Withers by 11. Going this distance, I think he will get some play here. Right the Party, not really. Steel, interesting play there, but you know, Belmont knows his stuff, so I'm not going to question this move too much. But Daily Racing Form thinks this horse is a contender. Oselli will run here and not Keeneland. With Beckman, thinks that this horse has a chance. Well, still a maiden as well. So who knows? Maybe this is what was the horse that ran last week and won? I gotta look it up here. There is a way that I can look it up here. The horse that Publisher took 12 or 13 races to break his maiden, finally broke his maiden, and has now won 3 in a row. This horse is still a maiden, but this is no Publisher. Once it ran those 3 races in a maiden special weight, hasn't done much since. Ran in the same F Davis, finished 6th, so no points. Virginia Derby, finished 6th, no points. So obviously showing why he's 20-1. Minor Inconvenience, going to face Open Company for the first time. No. Albus broke the maiden last time. Courting gave away in that race here. Has already gone twice this distance. Hasn't shown too much there, but maybe gets distance. But I like Bravaro here. I really do. I think, Napoleon Solo, I actually write in the article that I think he may be behind the leaders early on, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's dueling. And I think he has a better chance being on the lead because he'll have the rail. But I like Bravaro here, and I'm going to go 9, 1, 13, 12. I'm going to go with Bravaro over Napoleon Solo here. And a little bit of an upset here. At least I think it'll be a little bit of an upset, but I don't think I'm getting that 8-1. I think it's going to be 5-1. But then again, with a 12-horse field, 12 different pots that you place your win money in, I think it'll spread out enough where you don't have you won't have a heavy favorite, but you won't have any. You may see some of these middle horses move up to 10. I think this horse may move down to about 5. But that's just my opinion on that race here. And we're going to go for Bravaro here in what I would think is a bit of an upset here in the Wood Memorial, the final Wood Memorial at Aqueduct. And then we're going to go over to Keeneland here. Now, they had their final Kentucky Oaks prep yesterday in opening day. So we're just looking at one race here today. We're looking at the Bluegrass Stakes, and they are going 1 1/8 as well. All 3 races today, 1 1/8. So this is the championship distance before the championship race, the Kentucky Derby. So 1 1/8 is the final prep race. And, we're going to have a field of 7 here. We had 9 entered, but we do have 2 scratches here. Class president, Todd Pletcher didn't like the way his horse was training leading up to the race. So he said, you know what, we're going to scratch him. We're not necessarily going to take him off the Derby trail. At least that's what he said the other day. So we'll see what's up with him. He does have 50 points, so he could conceivably say, well, we'll train up to the Derby. Because he does have the points. But we'll see. And the 7, Oselli, he runs at Aqueduct. So they shipped him up to New York for this race. So now favored in this race is Further Ado. And he got caught late, got bumped around a bit. The Puma legitimized Further Ado's finish in this race here. Now, also, Further Ado was running for the first time in over 3 months there, too. So he was ready to go there. And, he hasn't matched that 98 that he had when he won at Keeneland by 20 lengths. Now, I think some people are going to see this 20-length win, which, I don't think it was really. Let me see something here. So, this is a great thing because this is the race of the day on Daily Racing Form. So you can dig in and see all different things here. So, you did have 2 horses that came back and won, but they didn't come back and win at big numbers. So, so you can say what you want about that. So you can see some of the numbers that are there. But Further Ado here, Probably going to sit right off the leaders. But then again, he may even be on the lead. Well, actually, you see Monstrosity there. They'll probably gun for the lead and probably tire late. This horse will be close to the lead and will probably take over in the stretch here. This horse is a good horse. Made himself known, gun runner horse. So obviously 7.4 furlongs per win. So he's going to get, his horses are going to get the distance. So gonna be tough here. So don't be surprised here if you see this horse run well here. So, I mean, I wouldn't. Well, let's look at the Tampa Bay Derby here, because the great thing is, if for those that are the type of people that want to look at what happened in their next races, the Puma barely lost. I mean, barely lost. So keep that in mind here, because this horse is probably my Derby pick, but I could be swayed depending on gate position and all that. So, but I really like the Puma. But that horse is going to be a nice one, the Puma. And also, I think further ado, we'll be ready to go here. Does have 35 points, I believe. Has 10 for the Kentucky Jockey Club and 25 for the Tampa Bay Derby. So just needs to get a top 3 finish probably to get into the Derby. So Reagan's Honor, the 4, and has won 2 in a row here. Broke the maiden at the fairgrounds going a mile and a 16th. Ended up in an allowance race, hand ride, pulling away for the win. So definitely going to be the horse that could upset here. Could be a gate the wire candidate here, but Monstrosity probably going for the lead. So may have Creole Chrome going for the lead, but going to be facing Open Company for the first time after facing Louisiana Breds in the first 4 there. So, but could be interesting there. Now, one reason why I don't think Creole Chrome will go for the lead here is he put up 22 and 4 for that first quarter, and 23 and 2. That race he went 24 and 4. So can he run that fast and be there at the end? But we'll see there. Now the one talking, and I think with the Puma, I think you have to give, if you're going to bump up further ado, you may have to bump up talking here. Did show interest in that 5th place finish. I did watch that video. So I won't necessarily say toss this horse. This could be a long shot play if you're looking for a long shot. Second race off the layoff, going to a mile and an 1/8 again. The Remsen, the Remsen is such a weird race, especially this time of the year, especially that time of the career of a horse. So, you can make excuses on that race here. So I would toss that race if you're looking at all 4 races here. Definitely has the distance. But I wouldn't necessarily toss this horse out. So, I mean, he'll definitely need the points to get in, but, like even that race at Aqueduct, he ended up facing Paladin, who was one of the Derby favorites until he got pulled from the trail here. Renegade won the Arkansas Derby last weekend, so he's going to be probably the favorite in the race. Balboa, probably off the trail, but courting grittiness, finished second in the Virginia Derby. So definitely going to need some points here, but maybe sneak in with the Lexington if he's nominated. So, you do have some horses here who had no chance from the very beginning. I think that this horse just, I just think Talkin is worthy of a second chance here. So, but with the Bluegrass here, things get interesting because class president, who was probably going to be on or close to lead, got scratched here. So Reagan's Honor may have it a little bit easier, but you do have Further Ado, you do have Creole Chrome. Now I wouldn't be surprised if Further Ado just takes a turn and wins, but I get the feeling Reagan's Honor will go gate to wire here. So we're going to go 4-6-1-5 here. Reagan's Honor over Further Ado in the Bluegrass at Keeneland. And then we have the final two races here, which are the races from Santa Anita. And we're going to begin with the Oaks, race 6. Unfortunately, they don't have these races back to back like I would prefer, but hey, it's all good. So, let me just see one thing here. Okay, so if you okay, so I just wanted to check something there. So we have the Santa Anita Oaks, and they're going a mile in the 16th here. 3-year-old fillies. Meaning is the 3-5 favorite here, and I admit this is not one of the better Santa Anita Oaks in my opinion. But she did beat Explora, not Dora the Explorer, Explora, who won the Las Virgin. Explora came back and won the Honeybee at Oaklawn. So, if you believe in those transit properties, then she should be running a big race here. Now, did run well in her first race back. Does have quite a few 5 furlong works there. So obviously, but has the tactical speed here. But, you could be looking at a horse that's a bit overrated here. But then again, there isn't much in this race. I mean, you got a horse here, Red Cherry, whose one race on the dirt was a disaster and ran 2 races on the turf. You got Hypergamy, all 8 races on the turf. Now, granted, does have American Pharaoh, Audio Charlie, maybe, but we'll talk about French Blue in a second. Forced entry here, the 1. Won the Santa Isabel there. Made a 3 wide move there. Cleared in the upper stretch and won there. One of the 2 Baffert horses in this race here. Actually, Baffert has won this race 5 times in the last 3 in a row. Has had 2 big wins routing in this track, and going 2 turns is big. And Baffert, this is his home playground, and does have versatility going for the lead. Can rate. Did show that. So Mike Smith has options here, but Hernandez, who won this race, who won the Santa Isabel for Baffert, goes to Meaning here. So interesting move there, but you got a big name jockey here, Mike Smith, who's still doing it however old he is now. So, but definitely worth a look here as well. French Blue is the other Baffert horse here, finished 3rd here. And the way that this looks to me And it may be the same situation as it appears. Now, I'm not necessarily going to call this a rabbit. And basically what that is, for those that are like, what the hell's a rabbit? What you do is you have a horse that's up front that's going to go for the lead and set things up for your other horse in your stable. That it was more prevalent when we actually had coupled entries, and we've finally gotten rid of most of them in most states. So so you don't have that much anymore, but you may see you may see this horse as a rabbit possibly, but this horse does have the breeding to go long, but I just think that she's going to be on the lead. I get the feeling that she's on the lead to help out the other horse, just like she did the previous race here. So that's just me. I'm probably wrong, which wouldn't surprise me. And then Brooklyn Blonde, the 7, going to be near the pace here. Probably going to be on the lead here. Probably going to set things up for the other Baffert horse, and also going to set things up here for Meaning. And believe it or not, we're looking at McCarthy versus Baffert here in this race here. Hypergamy, I'm tossing. Red Cherry, I'm tossing. The other horse that really, bank shot, but I think it's between the Baffert horses and the McCarthy horses. I think with what I'm expecting with the pace and everything else here, I really like Forest Entry here. Brendan, welcome in. Happy Easter. And we're going to go with Forced Entry here. So we're going to go with 1, 5, 3, and 7. Forced Entry over the favorite, Meaning, in the Santa Anita Oaks. And then we're going to go to the final race that we'll look at today here, which is the Santa Anita Derby. And that is race 10 on the card. So 7:46 p.m. is post time. So, well, actually, with the first race at around 5:20, if you're just going to play these 5 big races today that I'm highlighting, you do have an opportunity to get things done between now and then, or you may be dabbling in all the races. Who knows? But Santa Anita, they got 7 horses here. It appears there's no scratches. Let me just check one thing here. Doesn't look like they're in yet, but then again, they're on the West Coast. So I wouldn't expect it. So, but Potente, the 2, is favored. Bob Baffert has 2 horses in this race here, which is no surprise here. Won the San Felipe, stalked the pace, delayed and won that race here. Probably get a nice setup here in this race here, and wouldn't surprise me if he wins this race here. But he does have Robusta and So Happy, who ran in that last race and will run again here today. So going to be interesting here for him. Cherokee Nation actually broke his maiden against older horses here. Now, the older horses there weren't that great, but, still beat 4- and 5-year-olds in that race here. Won by 10 lengths in that race. Actually has run a couple of races on the Kentucky Derby Trail. Got a point there for the Kentucky Jockey Club for finishing 5th. Got 2 points there, I believe, for the Robert B. Lewis Stakes there. Did weaken in those races, but sometimes with these horses, like we mentioned, Publisher took 12 or 13 races to finally break the maiden, but the light bulb went on. Oh, this is how I win. That may be the case here, but may also be ready for a bounce, because look at that huge jump from a 79 to 100. We're going to see if this is for real, or we see that he jumps back down. So don't be surprised if that happens. And I'm not sure if he actually does need the lead, but wouldn't surprise me if he does. And see if he takes advantage of the rail. Vitruvian Man has got too much against him in this race. Costa finished second as San Felipe, almost lit up the board like a Christmas tree at 67-1. Got nailed by Patente late, and has been improving. Obviously, not going to get close to 67-1 today. And in a 7-horse field to be 67-1, nobody's giving you a shot here. Gets a more advantageous post than being on the far outside, but 7-horse race, it really isn't that big of a deal. Did draw clear, but got caught late. So I think that's more of Patente than is Robusta, but definitely worth a play here. And Robusta did beat Cherokee Nation when breaking his maiden on January 9th as well. So it does have some of these horses, is familiar with some of these horses here. So happy here. I just think that this horse may be on the lead here, possibly. Did tire in the San Felipe. May not be a 2-turn horse here, but this is why you run these races. You find out a lot about these horses. Start the Ride, no. Intrepido. This is a horse that going to be the one to catch. But two of his 3 best races have been on the lead. Now, he did win the Grade 1 American Pharaoh back in October. Had to steady on the first turn, was boxed in on the second turn, but still won. But so vied on the inside, dueled, had a game finish. Just Plutarch was just a little bit better that day. So you're going to see a horse there who's may not necessarily go for the lead. I may have said that he would go in the lead, but some of this, I'm looking at my script here, but I'm also reevaluating some of the things here. But so we'll see there. But also, one thing I will warn you about Robusta. In his 4 races so far, bad race, good race, bad race, good race. Some horses are like this, where they have a pattern where they run a clunker, they run a great one. They run a clunker, they run a great one. So you may be looking at a clunker here with Robusta, but I'm going to go with Cherokee Nation. I'm going with the favorite here, Patente. I think it's going to be an all Baffert exacta here. 2174 here. 2147 in the Santa Anita Derby in the final 100-point race for the Kentucky Derby. Now, there is one race that's going to be coming up next week. It's a last chance race, and we'll be covering that race. It's the Lexington Stakes, and we'll see what happens with that. So hopefully it will have Kentucky Derby implications, because we'll see if that has anything to do with everything going on. So, but that's going to be it for this show. Check out BleacherBrothers.com. My articles will be posted shortly. I didn't post them yet. The articles are typed up, so it's just a matter of going from the Word file to posting it on the site. So those articles will be up shortly. They'll be shared on my X, which is at Joe Quills. It'll be at Bleacher Brothers as well, at Bleacher Brother. Drop off the last S for savings. And best of luck in all your wagers today. And hopefully we can get more winners home today. So we did have 2 last week, I believe. We had 2, and I was bitching to Mike about Puma losing by about this much. So, but that's it for now. And I do appreciate each and every one of you for watching, both live and after the fact, because I know that I know the way that I stream with the intent that hopefully some people will watch after the fact. So, but I do appreciate each and every one of you. So let's do it live again next Saturday at 10 a.m. as we look at the Lexington and whatever comes up next week, as well as my other show, the Joe Quill Show, Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Got a feeling we're going to talk about that situation between Dawn Staley and Gino Auriemma. Gino, I'll just say right now, you don't mess with a North Philly girl, okay? You should know that. But yeah, I do appreciate everybody. And let's do it live Monday. And if not, join me here next Saturday for another edition